This week, stuff comes back from early June and late August, and we still have all that Neptune stuff. The moon is conjoining Neptune at the very beginning of the week. It's actually kind of more like last Sunday night into Monday, and Neptune is stationing direct. Mercury is still retrograde, but it's stationing direct this week, so we're getting more of a foothold on life again. We're maybe feeling a little more effective, except maybe not, because Mars is now retrograde. So our energy is low, but at least some part of our life can move forward. And the thing from late August that's coming back, it's actually coming back at the beginning of next week, but it applies because this is slow-moving planets. The Jupiter-Saturn square. So this is number 2 of 3 squares of Saturn with Jupiter that happen over the course of a year. The first one happened in late August, and the next one, the third one, will happen this coming summer of 2025, and it will happen in the signs of Aries and Cancer instead of Pisces and Gemini. So an interesting change in dignity. Jupiter will be much stronger, much more resourced. Saturn will be not doing as well, whereas right now, the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, it's kind of a weak Jupiter and a whatever Saturn. But if you want to know more about what I think that's about, watch my managed wellness video. So Monday morning, the moon moves into Aries, very different from Sunday, meaner. The moon is ruled by Mars retrograde. It could be explosive or it could be conflict avoidant, just wanting to avoid everything, exertion avoidant, effort avoidant. That's going to go on until late February. It gets a little gnarlier in January, but right now it's Mars retrograde in Leo. Just watch over the next few weeks. You may fly off the handle, or somebody else might. So just know that if you're looking to start a fight, the gloves could come off. The Geneva Conventions could be done away with any warning, with no warning. Monday morning, even though the moon is in Aries, so there is like an immediate sense of, there's a surface level sense of like aggravation, irritability. The moon sextiles Pluto and sextiles Venus. So the stuff I was talking about last week with the Venus-Pluto conjunction, that carries over into Monday. So go watch the end of last week's video if you didn't watch that. And most of the rest of the day on Monday is the moon trining Mars. Normally this would be energetic, productive, like a good use of our energy. This might be a little weird. This could be a little unpredictable. It might not be like the easiest flow of energy and effectiveness you've ever seen. It's more complicated than that. It's slower. And it's Mars right now retrograde in a fixed sign. So there's like a slow plodding quality to the things in the Mars ruled parts of your life, which if you don't know how to read your own chart, I have a free course on my site. It's linked below. And then the moon also trines Mercury. So there is this like, it feels different from last week, but it's still not optimal. Some things got better, some things got worse. Tuesday is more simple. Monday might have ended kind of nice because Tuesday morning we had the moon sextiling Jupiter. Off to a good start. You wake up on the right side of the bed, and we just had the moon trining the sun. So Tuesday, after the moon trines the sun in the afternoon, the moon's technically void, so it's like a weird no man's land that if you want to take advantage of that, if that Tuesday could be your day off, or if you need a day to like get things done and not be bothered, maybe that's Tuesday. Wednesday, things feel different. The moon moves into Taurus, immediately squares Pluto, squares Venus, and squares Mars. It's so complicated. It's such all that stuff I was talking about at the end of last week with the like that quality, but this is like emotionally, interpersonally, the quality of like if you're getting hypothermia, you're suffering from hypothermia, and you start sweating and wanting to take your clothes off. It's like that. It's just like confusing and uncomfortable and a sign that things aren't going well. Expect some friction on Wednesday. Be prepared for that. And also on Wednesday, it's technically Thursday morning, we have the actual Venus-Mars opposition. So that all coming to a head. So Wednesday, I don't love it. It's very aggravated. And it's also like, at the same time, like we want moons in Taurus, we want to not only get our needs met, but like really take care of our bodies and those bodies that are in our charge. And it's going to be really difficult for us to do that to the best of our ability on Wednesday. I keep saying that like the exalted moon now anytime the moon's in Taurus, it's squaring Pluto for the next 20 years. There are a lot of ways that like the management, it's Saturn, like Aquarius is a Saturn ruled sign. So the people, the collectives, the managers who think the world, have this vision of the way the world should be and want to enact that through rules, restrictions, that dynamic is somehow conspiring against us, our most optimal health and well-being. There'll be a lot of things done in the name of health and wellness over the next 20 years, which is what my managed wellness video is about, if you haven't watched that. But a lot of it will be more covertly, it's Pluto in Saturn's sign, so more covertly about business, less about your actual health and well-being. Meanwhile, there's a lot of infrastructure, which is also Aquarius, that is actively conspiring against your radiant optimal health. So Wednesday shines a light on that. The moon comes and embodies that for a whole day. So buckle in. I'm not here to say like everything's always going to be bad. Just how can you make that work for you? How can you make a complicated, not good feeling, angry, frustrating signature in the continuum of time? How can you, if you know that's what's coming, how can you just schedule yourself to like, okay, well, maybe you need to work in isolation on a big art project that you really need to get done. Something like that. It's just, you're here because you want to know what's coming. You're not here, I hope, because you want to just decide things are going to be bad. These are influences. They're not curses. They're like, what you get out of the box, but we can always work with everything. So Thursday, that Venus-Mars opposition goes exact, very, very before the sun rises. The moon then sextiles Saturn, so that's the moon in Taurus. Sextiling Saturn, there's heaviness there, but there's also, it's grounded, where after Wednesday it might be kind of nice to just like touch grass. That's the moon in Taurus, sextiling Saturn in Pisces. You might be like forced to touch grass and you don't want to, but then you realize that was probably a good idea. There might have been a little bit of that late Wednesday night also. Mercury in Sagittarius, retrograde, also makes a sextile to Venus in Aquarius. So this is like a weird artistic signature. Also, whatever happened on Wednesday, this aspect applying might have been helpful for Wednesday as well. But Mercury Venus is very like art. I think Jeff Koons, Mercury sextile Venus specifically, it's Venus's aspect. Like the sextile has like a Venus flavor to things. So take your broken heart from Wednesday and make art on Thursday. And there's space for epiphanies here. So if you can give yourself the space to create on Thursday, if that's your like, Thursday is your workshopping day, your creative atelier day, your put on your thinking cap, your magical costume that helps you be creative. And for me, that's like, I wear a sleep mask to bed. And if I want to be really creative, I'll just like put it on my head. For some reason, like enclosing my head like that helps me do stuff that's creative, or like writing or anything. I guess Rembrandt wore a special hat when he painted. So don whatever ritual garments you need and do something creative with the fabric of reality on Thursday if you can. Especially also because the exalted moon is making a sextile to Neptune in Pisces. So there is a dreamy quality to this, and it's Mercury retrograde sextiling Venus at Aquarius. So it's weird. It's not really what's expected. So much about Thursdays. This isn't what is expected. So Friday in the morning, like early morning, late morning, depending on where you are. If you're in North America, the moon moves into Gemini. So very, very different. The moon's with Jupiter now. The moon is ruled by Mercury retrograde now. Friday's really different from Thursday. Friday, Thursday, if you want to just have a spa day to get ready for Friday, maybe that's a thing. Friday, the moon trines Pluto and sextiles Mars. So it's a little better. It's like the themes from Wednesday come back, but they're not as crazy. Like maybe it wasn't as bad as you thought when you were living it back on Wednesday. And the moon opposes Mercury and trines Venus. there is like some tug of war. There is maybe more like little Mercury retrograde, like things like, oh, here's this, and I didn't know this. And like maybe you discovered something that you forgot, or you found something that you lost. Or like something is like, it's distracting, but since Mercury is stationing at the end of this week, it's like, it's coming towards resolution, like what things are going to be looking like in the Mercury realm of things. Like, again, Mars is very retrograde. There's a very like unresolved other part of the story. But the Mercury stuff is like wrapping up, and at least like we can have some semblance of like moving forward in the Mercury parts of our chart. Now, if your Mercury natally, for instance, is Mars ruled, then it's much more complicated. There's like something deeper that is going to be worked on with the Mars retrograde. But the night ends with the moon trining Venus late at night. Like Friday night, that's like a good Friday night, in my opinion. It's Venus in Aquarius, so for me, I'll be staying in. But you know, a good Friday night doesn't necessarily mean going out into the world, even though it's Venus in Aquarius. If you're up too late Friday night, however, the moon is squaring Mars. So that's the moon in Gemini the moon is squaring Saturn. So that's the moon in Gemini squaring Saturn in Pisces. There's a like, you know, wanting to like keep going to the after party, and like, but you actually need to go to bed because you have to get up early tomorrow. Or the people you are enjoying spending time with have to get up early, and so then you're all alone scrolling or something like that. So Saturday, that moon square Mars thing goes exact earlier in the morning. So Saturday morning has like a heavy quality, a seriousness. But after that, after about like mid-morning, the mood lifts considerably. It might lift too much, like the person who like floated away in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and then we don't know what became of them. It might be like that, like a little too much. Also, Mercury is stationing, so the moon is conjoining Jupiter in Mercury's sign. It's also the full moon in Gemini. So Saturday night is like loopy. There's a lot of energy. But back to Saturday during the day, the moon conjoins Jupiter. The rest of Saturday is just that full moon in Gemini. And this full moon in Gemini represents a culmination of stuff that began in early June. So stuff that began in early June, this represents the full culmination of that energy. Like, it is ripe now. You may harvest it, whatever that was. And then the expenditure of all of that effort but like whatever happened in the Gemini realm for you early June, that's coming to a head right now. There'll be an expenditure of that story down through late May of 2025. So it's these 6-month lunation cycles are like these like long, they're story arcs. And enjoy this one. This is like, I know things are like starting to get weird, but this is a last Gemini lunation cycle until things start getting really strange. When Uranus enters Gemini in early July, Uranus will come back into Taurus for a short time at the end of 2025. But like the Gemini realm of your life is going to get strange. So just know that. I don't really know what you can do to prepare for it, because a Uranus transit denotes things that you can't prepare for. There could also just be a lot of like changes, a lot, over the next 7 years coming. But that's not right now. Right now is like, it's the Gemini story, the 6 months Gemini story that happens every single year. And this full moon isn't like particularly configured to anything, except I guess it's squaring Neptune has stationed. It's co-present Jupiter. So there's optimism, there's romanticism, there's delusional qualities, and it's Mercury's sign, and Mercury is retrograde. Mercury is stationing. So it's very informational, very chatty, very changeable. It's very dynamic. Full moon. It's good for the Christmas party. Is your company Christmas party this weekend? Because that's fun. Sunday we come off that full moon, whatever the full moon brought. The moon square Neptune aspect goes exact early Sunday morning. So if you have to wake up Sunday morning for some reason, that you might find that challenging. You might want to set extra alarms. Mid-morning the moon moves into Cancer. So, and again, the moon in Taurus, the sign of its exaltation, for the next 20 years it's going to be squaring Pluto. But now at least the moon in Cancer, the sign of its domicile, has no Pluto. It's off axis. So that's nice. We get a nice Cancer moon. You can chill. You can go to brunch. Mercury is stationing. So there's some sort of story development pointing the direction that we're going to go in the Mercury area of our lives as far as like communication and whatever Mercury rules in your chart. Again, if you don't know how to read your own chart, I have a course. It's free. I need to I'm going to pull it down soon. I keep saying that, but I watched some of it recently and I was like, ooh, I am capable of much better now. I was just starting to make videos when I made that course. The whole rest of Sunday after Mercury stations midday is just the moon trining Saturn. So it's the moon in Cancer trining Saturn in Pisces. Things are it feels like it is a sigh of relief. We have the Mars retrograde, but at least it's not back a couple of weeks ago when it was Mars is slowing down, Mercury's fully retrograde, everything's frantic and crazy, and everyone's freaking out. At least right now, you can enjoy some peace. And remember, your Wi-Fi is a camera that can see through walls.